Now at 9, we'll hear from a former resident of Pitcher, Oklahoma about the 10th anniversary of the municipality's dissolution. Plus, a federal court sentences a Neosho, Missouri man in a kidnapping conspiracy case. And we'll see the moment two services members surprised their kids at school after 10 months deployed overseas.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
This is KOAM News at 9 on Fox 14. I'm Tanya Bach. 10 years ago, the municipality of Pitcher, Oklahoma was officially dissolved due to contamination from mine waste. Now, most town structures that were not demolished, collapsed, or destroyed by fire or tornado were abandoned. Still, according to the people we spoke to, 5 families still live in the area. And while for many, Pitcher is now a ghost town, for locals, it's their forever hometown. KOAM's Fernanda Silva spoke to some of them.
We kind of made up for everything that went away. We just done other things to fill that void. I just knew that that's where my heart was, and that's where I just wanted to graduate from high school.
Alyssa Logan is one of the 11 students in the last Pitcher High School graduating class. The feeling of belonging is just one of the things Alyssa and her dad miss the most about the small Oklahoma town.
Most people didn't know all the streets, but could ask them, what person are you looking for, and we could tell you where they're at just by the name of the person.
We had a lot of fun there.
Local families found in the chat piles a source of entertainment. Kids would go there to ride their bicycles, and friends would gather for picnics.
We were on them anytime we could be on them, whether we were riding our bikes or just climbing up them or just like going up and hanging out.
4th of July, you could see everybody's fireworks from Joplin, Carl Junction, over to Miami, Commerce, everybody between.
But then, things changed. Because of the years of mining in Pitcher, high levels of lead were found in the huge jet piles around the town and the groundwater.
It was found that many of our children were lead poisoned. Every single dirt road was not dirt, it was jet. And so there was a great deal of exposure going on every time the wind blew, for every single person breathing.
Besides that, some buildings shown to be at risk of caving in because of the undermining. In 2006, the state of Oklahoma passed legislation that allowed for the voluntary buyout of citizens with children in the area. 2 years later, a tornado hit Pitcher.
And this is at the beginning of the tornado.
Many felt as if it was rather a sign of God, saying maybe we really need to go.
In 2009, the Environmental Protection Agency evacuated the town. Now, Rebecca Jim fears the story will repeat in other places.
No mining company that I know of knows how to put the land back.
While the land can't be put back, Greg still drives through Pitcher once a week to relive his memories.
We miss Pitcher pretty much every day. You can reminisce about it, but it's never going to go back. We're never going to get Pitcher back.
In Pitcher, Fernanda Silva, KOAM News.
The Quapaw Nation got the contract from the Environmental Protection Agency to deal with the Tar Creek Superfund site, and they are moving, intending to bring the land to a better state of existence. According to the Quapaw Nation, since 2013, more than 7 million tons of waste has been moved at the Tar Creek Superfund site. A federal court sentences a Neosho man for his role in a kidnapping conspiracy. Lawrence William Vaughn was sentenced yesterday to 25 years in federal prison without parole for a kidnapping conspiracy that resulted in the torture and death of the victim, and in a separate and unrelated case for illegally possessing stolen firearms. Vaughn pleaded guilty in April for his role in a conspiracy to commit kidnapping in July of 2020. In July of 2020, Vaughn and another co-defendant were offered $5,000 to kidnap the victim, known as MH. During his abduction, the victim was bound and beaten and fatally shot. A total of 5 co-defendants have also pleaded guilty in the kidnapping and await sentencing in this case. Well, Chief Meteorologist Doug Hetty joins us now with a first look at your forecast.
Well, it definitely turned out to be another warm and windy day for us today. Look at our high temps. Yesterday we set a record high. Today right at that mark once again. 82 for a high, 67 is where we started. Record high is 83, set back in 1990. So right about where our records are, you can see our average high is only 62 degrees, so we are well above where we should be for this time of the year. Also windy. We've had those southerly winds all day long. They've switched to the north. A cold front has rolled through, so now we have northerly winds at about 10 to 20, and it's going to stay breezy as we go through the overnight hours tonight, but pretty much clear. Not a whole bunch going on. We're going to have clear skies, pretty quiet. We are going to get the clouds, which are going to start to work in as we head into the morning hours. But overnight lows, we're only going to be dipping back into the 40s late tonight. So it's not too bad. We are going to cool down the next few days. We're going to talk about that here in just a bit.
All right, thanks, Doug. Warm embraces and tears of joy. Hundreds of four-staters gather at the Joplin Airport to give some soldiers a big welcome home. Happy reunion came just days before Veterans Day. Members of the Missouri National Guard 294th Engineer Company arrived home this afternoon after a 10-month deployment. They had left Joplin for the Horn of Africa on January 5th. Soldiers reunited with families they hadn't seen in nearly a year. At least one soldier met his baby who was born while he was deployed. And the reunions did not end there. About an hour later, two of the soldiers dressed in mascot costumes for an assembly at Joplin's McKinley Elementary School. And their kids received awards, and then the bigger surprise.
I wonder who it is. Hey! I miss you, bro.
Seeing his little smile, he's a shy boy, but like seeing his little smile, like finally dad's home. Like we've talked about it, we've had plans for vacations going to Branson as soon as I get home. And just like seeing a smile like, yo, it's finally happening after time talking about it.
I kind of felt like they didn't know who I was anymore. Especially Carter, he looked at me and then looked back and then looked back at me and was like, oh, it's Dad.
Love this reunion. During their deployment, they helped with infrastructure projects. And we thank them, all of them, for their service. To help feed the hungry in Carthage, Lowe's called in the Army, the Salvation Army that is. Organization in the home improvement chain joined forces as part of Lowe's Hometowns Community Impact Program. The event supported the Feeding the Hungry Carthage project, one of 100 community projects in 2023 that make up Lowe's Hometowns. For members of the Salvation Army, the event was not just a chance to give back to the community, but to share a common cause with like-minded volunteers.
It's refreshing. It really is to have others come alongside us. We have a great team of staff. We have a great volunteer base, and to have a company like Lowe's come along and pitch in and make this happen has been exciting.
The event benefited the Carthage Salvation Army Service Center. Coming up, Missouri Southern hosts a summit aimed at helping young adults with disabilities become more independent. Missouri Southern today played host for an event to help young adults with disabilities become more independent. The Joplin Tools for Life Transition Summit was put on by a group called Impact. It aimed to teach participants leadership skills and self-determination. It also links people up with resources for things like jobs and housing.
Definitely some self-determination and leadership skills, maybe making some new friends, and absolutely some connections to some of the providers and service individuals out in the community.
The summit was available to people between the ages of 14 and 26 with a disability. Well, hope could be on the horizon for people whose mobility is impacted by Parkinson's disease. Researchers say a new spinal cord implant is showing promising results in helping a patient with the disorder walk again. Fox News' Ted Linder takes a closer look.
For many people with limited or no mobility, independently doing everyday tasks can be a challenge. The problem was all too familiar for Mark Gauthier. The 63-year-old has suffered from the effects of Parkinson's disease for years. With the disorder that can cause uncontrollable shaking, stiffness, and difficulty balancing, impacting his ability to walk. But thanks to a new implant from Swiss researchers, Gauthier is up and moving.
It changed my life because now I can leave my home, run errands.
The implant, placed against his spinal cord, contains an electrode field that combines with an electrical impulse generator inserted under his abdomen to trigger his spinal cord into moving his leg muscles.
The technology is a neurostimulator that delivers precise pulses of electricity to the region of the spinal cord involved in the control of leg muscles. And the pulses are delivered at the correct location with the correct timing in order to reproduce the way the spinal cord is activated naturally in order to walk.
The National Institutes of Health reports roughly 500,000 people in the U.S. have Parkinson's, but global cases of the disorder have doubled in the past 25 years, according to the World Health Organization. And while there's no cure for Parkinson's, Gautier's progress is giving researchers hope the device can help more people with Parkinson's and other disorders affecting mobility. Researchers are expected to test the implant on 6 new patients next year. Ted Lindner, Fox News.
Well, Doug is next with a complete look at your forecast. And later, it's a big day for area high school athletes signing to play in college. We're going to see who's going where.
All right, it turned out to be a warm one for us today. Back again near record highs as our temperatures, they went into lower 80s during the afternoon. Very similar to what we saw yesterday as we did set a record high of 84. It feels pretty good out there right now. We do have a cold front that rolled through. You can see the winds kind of whipping around. This is our Cornell Arts and Entertainment Complex, a new tower cam that we have downtown Joplin. Looks good. We are going to continue to see pretty much clear skies as we go through the overnight hours. But look at these temps, lower 80s yesterday. We only backed down into the mid 60s this morning and then right back up into lower 80s once again this afternoon. Now, it's been windy. We've had those southerly winds kind of gusting anywhere from 20 to 30, 35 at times. Now, a cold front rolled through. So now we have the northerly winds, which are they're going to be kicking in 10 to 20 as we go through the overnight hours. But these northerly winds are kind of ushering in some cooler air. So it's going to feel cooler as we go through the next couple days. Also breezy. Look at our wind gusts. So this is late tonight, tomorrow morning. Winds gusting 30 upwards to 40. Now, as we get into the evening hours, they start to calm down a little bit. So the winds are going to be gusting kind of 15 to 20 into 25 late in the day tomorrow. Into the morning hours, temperatures, they drop back into the upper 40s. For overnight lows, we have clear skies right now. There's not a whole bunch going on. Now, we do have clouds across parts of Nebraska into Iowa, a couple little showers. I'm actually watching the moisture developing down through parts of Texas. This is going to kind of shoot up toward us. I think it's mainly going to stay to our south, but it is going to give our southern counties at least a chance to see a few showers during the middle of the daytime hours tomorrow. But as this wave kind of rotates by, we are going to cool down. That's about it. All right, let me walk you through the next 48 hours. By morning, mid-40s, so cool start, a lot of clouds, mostly cloudy skies. So here's the noon hour sitting into the mid-50s. Let's go into tomorrow afternoon. You can see a couple showers popping up, Benton County, parts of Delaware County. Most of us are going to stay dry. It's not a big deal. High temps 59 to about 60. Let's go into tomorrow night and into Friday morning. Look at this. We clear out upper 30s to near 40 degrees. And then Friday looks pretty good. Lower 60s. This is right where we should be for the beginning of November. So we're going to start into lower 60s, and then by football time, of course, we have playoff football on Friday evening. Temperatures back down into lower 50s. So overall, it looks pretty good over the next couple days. 54 by 11 by 3 p.m. tomorrow, high temp right around 57, 58 degrees. Let's go into the weekend. Temperatures, they stay nice, lower 60s Saturday. Let's go into Sunday. Look at this. Lower 60s once again. So we get a nice stretch of really nice fall-like weather as we go through the next few days. 59 on Thursday, 62 Friday, 63 Saturday. Let's go 67 on Sunday. Looking pretty good all the way through the weekend. Very nice stretch, fall-like weather.
Don't know how we're going to handle no 80-degree temperatures. All right, thanks, Doug. Well, coming up, the price of home ownership.
Struggling to get into homes, but owners they're still able to sell. I'm Madison Allworth in Miami, Florida. Coming up, I'll tell you about the unexpected buyers that are getting into single-family homes.
With borrowing rates at all-time highs, many single-family home buyers are getting priced out. And as Fox Business correspondent Madison Allworth reports, one seller in Miami, Florida is trying something different to bring attention to her home.
With interest rates high and home prices still high, sellers are getting creative with how they're moving their properties. Take this home, for example. In the description online, it says how much the seller makes on Airbnb per year. This 4-bedroom in Miami, she's making $138,000 renting it on Airbnb. She's including that value in order to attract the investor or developer buyer, and that's who she says she's hearing from. Single families are struggling to buy single-family homes, instead just looking at renting them.
Most of the people, they are developer or investor from out of Miami, Argentina, from New York. And the family that call is just for renting, not for buying. They are looking, the investor or developer is for building, but not for living here as a family, just for an investor to make money.
It comes at the same time as private equity increasingly becomes interested in the space. A private equity firm has purchased a dozen single-family homes in the area of Fort Lauderdale and Pompano Beach as a pilot program. TPG saying they started this pilot project 2 years ago as part of their long-standing thematic focus on leisure. They've paused any future buying for the time being, but are open to expanding into other markets if they see success. But Monica says when it comes to this 4-bedroom, roughly $1.9 million listing, the only buyers she's hearing from are PE firms, investors, and developers because they're the only ones that can afford it. In Miami, Florida, I'm Madison Allworth, Fox Business.
Well, up next, Mattel unveils its newest Barbie doll. Oklahoma native and first female chief of the Cherokee Nation, Wilma Mankiller. Well, this new Barbie honors the first female principal chief of the Cherokee Nation. The Wilma Mankiller doll is part of the brand's Inspiring Women series. Tahlequah, Oklahoma native is remembered for her work to improve health care and housing for the Cherokee Nation. To craft a figure representing her, Mattel says it worked with her estate as well as tribal representatives. The Wilma Mankiller doll is available for purchase now. 30 more minutes of news, weather, and sports is coming your way. Coming up, we'll check out the Eyes of Freedom Traveling Veterans Memorial as it stops in Independence, Kansas. Plus, it wasn't just a Veterans Memorial in Independence. The town was also overrun with life-size animatronic dinosaurs.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
This is KOAM News at 9 on Fox 14. I'm Tanya Bach. The Eyes of Freedom Memorial for Veterans landed in Kansas for the first time ever. KOAM's Anthony Saviello has more.
Memorials for veterans can be found in many places. Most are cemented into one area. However, there is one exception, the Eyes of Freedom Traveling Memorial.
So Eyes of Freedom is a traveling military exhibit that honors service and sacrifice and also brings more awareness to post-traumatic stress, veteran suicide, and survivor's guilt.
Independence, Kansas welcomed the memorial, which has never stopped in the state, with open arms.
I love small town America, the most patriotic people in the world. And for me, I'm an Army veteran. And I tell people all the time, even the Army veterans know when to call in the Marines. And when it comes into educating communities and school groups and all over the country, this is just an incredible exhibit to do that.
While the memorial honors all those who have served our country, it depicts 23 brave soldiers killed in the war in Iraq.
They were never intended to be a traveling exhibit. It was meant to bring comfort to our Gold Star families and to our community. And it did just that. And when that was done, we realized that this was more than about Columbus, Ohio. This is about service and sacrifice.
The exhibit also honors veterans struggling through PTSD.
That transition from the military career into the civilian sector, it doesn't always come together like the veterans expect it to. A lot of challenges there. So yeah, absolutely. It's we need to continue to find ways to help our veterans that are struggling with post-traumatic stress.
Kelly's hope is that through this exhibit, people get a better understanding of what service and sacrifice looks like, Reporting in Independence, Anthony Saviello, KOAM News.
The exhibit will be at the Independence Memorial Hall and Civic Center until Saturday afternoon. Another mobile attraction that stopped in Independence today are these lifelike animatronic dinosaurs. It's part of a collaboration with a business called I Heart Cookies Company. People were able to get up close and personal with the Jurassic recreations, including rides, raptor training, and a fossil dig experience. The dinosaurs will be in Pittsburgh at the Gibson Shopping Center from 2 to 7 p.m. Well, Special Olympics athletes in Pittsburgh today hit the bowling lanes. Special Olympics Kansas hosted the Southeast Regional Youth Bowling event at Holiday Lanes Bowling Alley. It was a chance for the athletes to have some fun while hanging out with friends. And the Community Foundation of Southeast Kansas today celebrated all the money it gave to other organizations this year. The foundation hosted its annual grant celebration at the Frisco Event Center in Pittsburgh. In total, they handed out more than $1.5 million in grants to local nonprofits.
Lots of wonderful people in this room today, both from a donor perspective and obviously from the people that are receiving the awards, doing a lot of good things in the community. So as a part of the application process, they're letting us know what their plans are for the funds and what their needs are, and then they always report back to us as to how things went. So a lot of good things going on, and obviously it's just another way for us to network throughout the entire region.
Foundation also handed out more than $330,000 in competitive grants. Well, it's Ivanka Trump's turn to take the stand in her father's business civil fraud trial in New York. Fox News correspondent Nate Foy has the latest on the trial.
Ivanka Trump is on the stand in New York's $250 million civil fraud trial against her father, former President Donald Trump, her brothers, Eric and Don Jr., and their family company. The Trumps are accused of inflating assets to get more favorable bank loans and insurance rates. Unlike her father and brothers, Ivanka is not a defendant in the case. She's a witness, testifying about her role as a former executive at the Trump Organization.
She will attempt today to distance herself from the company, but unfortunately the facts will reveal that in fact she was very much involved.
New York Attorney General Letitia James claims Ivanka helped fraudulently inflate her father's wealth before leaving the Trump Organization and joining her father's White House.
She benefited from it personally.
But on the stand, Ivanka denied any role in preparing her father's personal financial statements. She remained calm and collected during questioning from the state. Early Wednesday, in a post on Truth Social, the former president once again railed against the case, writing, quote, "It is Letitia James and the judge who are fraudulent for setting such low valuations in order to undermine and discredit my financial statements, thereby making me look bad. Election interference. Now they are trying to bring Ivanka into the case." Ivanka Trump is the state's final witness before it will rest its case, at which point former President Donald Trump's lawyers will present their own witnesses while making his defense. In New York, Nate Foy, Fox News.
A bit later, global politics impacting American zoos.
An emotional farewell in D.C., the nation's capital saying goodbye to 3 giant pandas as they make their long journey back to China. I'm Mallory Rivera at the National Zoo with that story.
All right, it turned out to be a warm one for us today, back again near record highs as our temperatures, they went into lower 80s during the afternoon, very similar to what we saw yesterday as we did set a record high of 84. It feels pretty good out there right now. We do have a cold front that rolled through. You can see the winds kind of whipping around. This is our Cornell Arts and Entertainment Complex, new tower cam that we have downtown Joplin. Looks good. We are going to continue to see pretty much clear skies as we go through the overnight hours. Well, look at these temps, lower 80s yesterday. We only backed down into the mid-60s this morning and then right back up into lower 80s once again this afternoon. Now, it's been windy. We've had those southerly winds kind of gusting anywhere from 20 to 30, 35 at times. Now, a cold front rolled through, so now we have the northerly winds, which are they're going to be kicking in 10 to 20 as we go through the overnight hours. But these northerly winds are kind of ushering in some cooler air, so it's going to feel cooler as we go through the next couple days. Also breezy. Look at our wind gusts. So this is late tonight, tomorrow morning. Winds gusting 30 upwards to 40. Now, as we get into the evening hours, they start to calm down a little bit. So the winds are going to be gusting kind of 15 to 20 to 25 late in the day tomorrow. Into the morning hours, temperatures, they drop back into the upper 40s. For overnight lows, we have clear skies right now. There's not a whole bunch going on. Now, we do have clouds across parts of Nebraska into Iowa, a couple little showers. I'm actually watching the moisture developing down through parts of Texas. This is going to kind of shoot up toward us. I think it's mainly going to stay to our south, but it is going to give our southern counties at least a chance to see a few showers during the middle of the daytime hours tomorrow. But as this wave kind of rotates by, we are going to cool down. That's about it. All right, let me walk you through the next 48 hours. By morning, mid-40s, so cool start, a lot of clouds, mostly cloudy skies. So here's the noon hour sitting into the mid-50s. Let's go into tomorrow afternoon. You can see a couple showers popping up, Benton County, parts of Delaware County. Most of us are going to stay dry. It's not a big deal. High temps 59 to about 60. Let's go into tomorrow night and into Friday morning. Look at this. We clear out upper 30s to near 40 degrees. And then Friday looks pretty good. Lower 60s. This is right where we should be for the beginning of November. So we're going to start into lower 60s, and then by football time, of course, we have playoff football on Friday evening. Temperatures back down into lower 50s. So overall, it looks pretty good over the next couple days. 54 by 11 by 3 p.m. tomorrow, high temp right around 57, 58 degrees. Let's go into the weekend. Temperatures, they stay nice, lower 60s Saturday. Let's go into Sunday. Look at this. Lower 60s once again. So we get a nice stretch of really nice fall-like weather as we go through the next few days. 59 on Thursday, 62 Friday, 63 Saturday. Let's go 67 on Sunday. Looking pretty good all the way through the weekend. Very nice stretch, fall-like weather.
Thanks, Doug. Well, coming up in sports, it's the beginning of the early signing period for college commitments. Hear from several of our local athletes who signed their letters of intent today. John Dales has those stories and more up next.
Today marks the beginning of the early period for high school athletes to sign their national letters of intent to compete at the collegiate level. Now, several of our local athletes took that next step towards achieving their goal of becoming collegiate athletes. Labette County High School senior Riley Bebb signs her letter of intent this morning to play D1 softball at the University of Missouri, Kansas City. She says she's grateful to have received so much support from the Labette County community over the past several years.
They're amazing. They're my support system. They're like the back of like what I do. Coming home in the summer, not being here for conditioning or weights or whatever, they were always so supportive and understanding like why I couldn't be there, or they would encourage me to stay home and rest my body when they knew I'd been gone for like weeks on end playing ball, and they understood that, and they were like extremely supportive.
Over to Pittsburgh High School, Marielle Wright signs a commitment letter and will be headed to Bemidji State to play soccer. The high school senior thankful for her family supporting her in a moment she's looked forward to since she first touched a soccer ball.
They've been by my side from day one, and they really pushed me to like reach my full potential and everything. So they're excited for me. Yeah, I'm super excited. I've been working for this moment since I was 4 years old, since I started playing.
At Webb City this afternoon, Drew Vonderhaar signs his letter of intent. He's heading to Missouri Southern to join the Lions baseball team. The high school senior says the proximity to home was a big plus when considering Southern.
I always loved being around the campus when I was younger, and even now I love being around the campus. I love staying close to my family too. Hard to leave them, so getting an opportunity to play at Missouri Southern is just ideal for me. It's something that I've always wanted to do. Whenever I got a little older and I knew it was a possibility for me, I just worked even harder, and now that it's here, I'm super happy. Couldn't be more excited.
Over to Carl Junction, 5 different athletes signed their letters of intent. Hannah Cantrell heading to St. Charles Community College to play softball. Mia Carnes commits to NEO for volleyball. Chloe Miller is headed to South Dakota to join the swim team there. Kylie Scott committing to Oral Roberts for basketball, and Abigail Wilson joining Carnes over at NEO Volleyball. And today has the 5 of them thinking back on some of their fondest memories as well as what lies ahead.
Getting a fresh start, because here you're kind of just here and you don't really, like, it's a small town. Going to St. Louis a little bit, and that's, I don't know, going from a small town to a big town is crazy.
I'm definitely looking forward to playing with Abigail again, because it makes me have like a sense of home that she's there and Coach Wall's there. So I'm just excited to go on this journey with her.
I'm looking forward to reaching my full potential. I'm really looking forward to playing at the next level to kind of open up a world for me. I believe that Sarah Wall will bring that to me, and being able to play with one of my high school teammates is going to be like the best thing ever. She's my setter, so although I'm not a hitter, I give her pretty good passes.
I'm just going to miss the community. I mean, everyone here is so welcoming, and walking around the school hallways, you can just say hi to everyone, and they're just so supportive.
Just all the moments we had together. They're really my best friends. I've had the best time with them. They, just helped me not only become like a better player, but a better person, and I just miss them every day, but it'll be fine.
Meanwhile, we're another day closer to college basketball season beginning here in the 4 states. Missouri Southern Women's Hoops starts its 23-24 campaign on Friday. Lions coming off an MIAA tournament championship in March, as well as 2 wins in the NCAA D2 Central Region Tournament. However, they did lose a lot of the impact players from that team during the offseason.
Our league is so good, we lost a lot. When you lose basically 4 MIAA players and then lose a couple other kids, and you lose, I want to say it was like 80-85% of our scoring, and at least that in the rebounding. People may look at us as maybe a rebuilding. And I think our kids got the mindset that we had last year. The expectations are still high, that we want to compete for a conference championship and make the NCAA championship postseason and try to do something in the postseason like we did last year.
That's all for sports. Back with more news after this.
Bye-bye Bears. Washington bids farewell to its giant pandas, and they're now headed back to China. Fox News correspondent Madeline Rivera has more on the story from the National Zoo.
After more than 50 years of memories and photos of the giant pandas, people once again gathered at the Smithsonian National Zoo, this time to say goodbye.
This is a hard morning.
Adult bears Mei Xiang, Tian Tian, and their cub Xiao Qiji are heading back to China.
As a diplomat in Washington, I say to them goodbye and bon voyage. As a Chinese government official, I say to them, welcome back.
Loaded with plenty of snacks, including bamboo, for their 19-hour trip home, they boarded a FedEx plane known as Panda Express from Dulles International Airport.
The only cargo on board this airplane are the 3 pandas, if you can believe it.
China gave giant pandas to the U.S. as a friendly gesture after President Richard Nixon's historic visit to the country in 1972. The exchange agreement expires December 7th, but some foreign policy analysts believe Beijing is pulling its pandas as diplomatic relations with the U.S. deteriorate. However, zoo officials say the move is just one step in the larger effort to save the species.
Please know that the future is bright for giant pandas.
Now that they've left D.C., Atlanta is the only place in the U.S. with giant pandas. But Zoo Atlanta's panda loan with China is set to expire next year. In Washington, Madeline Rivera, Fox News.
Under the agreement with China, any cubs born outside of China are sent back around age 3 or 4. Well, coming up, we'll learn how a group of Scottish farmers rescued the loneliest sheep in the world. The world's loneliest sheep is lonely no more after being rescued from a cliff in Scotland. Jeannie Moose has the story of Fiona, now famous and not so bad off.
At the base of a cliff on the Scottish coast lived the world's loneliest sheep. No, this isn't some fairy tale. Fiona actually lived here in a cave for at least 2 years.
Hello,
darling. It's presumed Fiona fell down the hill when she was young, but no one had the will or a way to rescue her until now.
Fiona has arrived. She's doing absolutely phenomenal.
A group of 5 farmers rescued Fiona. They climbed down, put her in a canvas feed bag, and winched her up with a little hole for her nose.
She was so relaxed throughout the whole thing. As we were bringing her up, she was actually nibbling at the grass. It was surreal. I've never seen anything like it.
Fiona was looking pretty scraggly.
Fiona.
But even after they sheared off 20 pounds, she was still overweight.
Look how chubby she is.
Actually, there had been a sort of race to rescue her. Animal rights activists had been visiting Fiona in recent days, getting her used to people before they say they plan to bring her up. But the farmers beat them to it and took Fiona to Delscon Farm Fun.
We're going to give Fiona a 5-star home.
A farm park the public pays to visit. The animal activists started a petition to send Fiona to a sanctuary, and they protested outside the farm.
Saying free Fiona, which is completely ridiculous.
But the protesters say,
Chibi's going to be made into a circus.
Will the public flock to Fiona? As the headline says, all by myself, no more. The Celine Dion of sheep.
Don't wanna be all by
And nobody does. That's our time for tonight. Thanks for joining us. We're going to leave you with video of an elephant calf playing in the mud at the Fort Worth Zoo. Have a great night and an even better tomorrow.